Have you thought about talking animals or sentient animals, some sort of writing from an animal's perspective type of story? Is that in your future?
You sound like my mom. Desperate for me to write something from an animal's point of view. I would love to. And actually, if you look at all of like the stories I wrote as a kid, they're all from like a dog's point of view or a cat's point of view. I was very into that. Someday, I think you'll definitely see something like that from me. But right now, since my middle grade kind of tends towards like the action adventure, slightly older middle grade crowd, not right now. I don't think I'll write anything from an animal. I'd never say never. But I mean, because like the Warrior series did that well, right? You can have action adventure and have animals. So maybe we'll see. My next one that I'm working on is not from an animal's point of view. So, and I have a contract for 6 books. So I'm working on book 6. So if HarperCollins says write a couple more books, you might see some animals in there.
Tell me what animals you're thinking of before you get there, so I can make sure that it doesn't that I get the idea that I want before it comes to fact. I've got an animal book. Afterward, I'll tell you about it. Like that one's mine. Back off. Let me ask you a little bit about your process, because here we are. You're working on book 6. How has your process changed from book 1 to now? Have you switched from planner to pantser, or what has changed for you?
I have a lot less time to screw up now, if that makes sense. Because when I wrote Edge of Extinction, I didn't have any kids. I thought I was busy, but I wasn't busy compared to what I am now. So I had a lot of time to just kind of play with things. And if that huge chunk doesn't work, I can just delete it and start over again. Where if I want a book to come out every year, I'm on kind of a tight timeline. I have a few months to write it, a few months to get it to my critique group, a few months to get it to my editor. You got to turn that puppy around and get it going. So I don't have as much time. So do I sit down and do a huge outline? Absolutely not. I'm definitely still a fly by the seat of your pants kind of writer. I will do what I call like a messy planning page, where I just get all my ideas out on paper to kind of figure out what direction I want things to go in, so that I don't make huge, colossal mistakes. Like when I was writing the second Edge of Extinction book, I had to cut about 15,000 words at one point, because I realized I was just taking the book in a really boring direction. They were just wandering around underground. Nothing exciting was happening. And I cut 15,000 words and went back to where the story was working and had dinosaurs bust into the underground area, which is why I realized the story was dull, as I had taken away the part of the story that was super exciting, which was the dinosaur element. So I try not to make huge mistakes like that anymore. But at the same time, when we had our writing group just take a look at book 6 for me, like the little chunk that I gave you guys, I had a 12,000 word chunk that I have not opened up since our critique session. I just started a brand new document and started over again. And I'm at about 15,000 words now. Like, I'm hoping I can pull some elements from that back in. But that might be another one I have to chalk up to, like, well, that was a false start and that was a mistake. So we'll see.
So, I mean, you've got to have some kind of plan, right? I mean, you do a messy outline. So do you know your ending usually?
No, endings are a struggle for me. A real struggle for me to try to figure out how to wrap things up. With the exception of Edge of Extinction, because I had 2 books to get to that ending, that one was easier. Endings are hard. I kind of know what I want my character to figure out, or where I want them to be as a person by the end, what they have to figure out about themselves. Like with Float, I wanted my main character, Emerson, to figure out the importance of kind of living life outside your comfort zone, the importance of friends, the importance of just kind of living his best life. So I knew I wanted him to get there. I didn't know how I was going to get him there. So with Grayson, I wanted him to see the value of mystery, this lifestyle of hoaxing that he had hated his whole life. I wanted him to see value in it, and I wanted him to see that family loyalty is important, and I wanted him to see that keeping some mystery in the world is important. So I wasn't sure how I was going to get him there, but by the end of the book I did. So it's just figuring out, for me, how to make that resolution kind of tie up in a nice bow at the end, once I have my character developed where I want them to go, which is a big thing about middle grade. Middle grade is very much character driven, as far as what your character is figuring out about themselves and overcoming and triumphing over, because middle school is very much about that. These kids are changing who they are. They're changing daily, on what they understand about the world. And it's nice for them to kind of go on a journey with somebody else who's maybe figuring those same things out.
It's funny because people don't know this that don't attend regular critique sessions with you. But your mind is like unlike any other author I've ever met. It is like just a repository of middle grade plots and middle grade plot instincts. Because anytime we get stuck, it's Laura who immediately says, "Do this, this, and this, and the problem is fixed." I've never presented you with a problem in my manuscript that you couldn't immediately fix. I don't know how well it works on your own manuscripts, but our manuscripts are amazing.
Like you wouldn't believe. I can read somebody else's draft and say, "Well, here's where you went wrong, and here's what you need to fix." Because I'm overly opinionated. It's kind of a problem. But with my own books, it's like I can't see I can't see my way through the weeds sometimes, which is why that critique group is so important. Because I feel like when you write your stuff, it's almost too precious to you. You start to get too attached to certain things where your writing group can say, "That's junk, that's fine, keep this." So it's nice to have people who can do that for you when you can't do it for yourself.
And I know you still write at night, right after all the kids are in bed.
I write at night. Actually, I do more of my writing now in the morning. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, 7 days a week. And I would wake up later, but I have a kid that wakes up between 5:45 and 6 o'clock every single day. So I wake up, I have my coffee program to go off at 4:45 in the morning, so it's ready when I walk down the stairs. And I literally just get out of my bed in my pajamas, grab my laptop and a cup of coffee, and I work until that kid comes down the stairs. Then I start my day. Because he is a ninja. He will hear you get dressed. He will hear water running, anything. So I just walk directly down the stairs and work. Because at the end of the day, after watching 3 kids and all the things that life entails with the running around and whatnot, I'm mentally just drained. I'm done. I can't think intelligent thoughts, I feel like, a lot of the time. So I would sit down to write at night and I would just stare at this blank page and I would get very far. And I was almost kind of resentful because I felt like I should get to take a break at the end of the day, after being up since 5:45 with the kid. And I have 3 kids, so it's not like nap time is a thing anymore, which is a bummer. So I try to get that chunk in the morning. If I can get an hour, I'm winning. When my brain is up and awake and alert, and if I wake up really foggy, I'll actually jump in a freezing cold shower. Because there's a lot of science behind the fact that wakes you up like nothing else. You'd be amazed. If you jump in a freezing cold shower, you don't need coffee. It's like you got hit by a lightning bolt. So if I can get
staying in there and actually washing your hair, or
no.
Is it just they wake you up and then a real shower later?
You can. You just jump in that freezing cold shower and you stand in as long as you can, then you jump out and you're wide awake. It's amazing. So if I can get that chunk of productivity done in the morning, I feel so much better about the rest of my day, about doing the mom thing where I can't sit down and work if I've got those words in the morning.